Welcome back to the Westmoreland Sports Network for our Recruiting Thursday feature, brought to you by our friends at Sendell Volkswagen in Greensburg. We would love to meet you. Jack Ridenour here with you today, and we have the pleasure of being joined by current Norwin girls basketball player and recent Clarion women's basketball commit, Averi Brozeski. Averi, first off, thanks so much for taking some time today, and obviously a big congratulations on the commitment. How does this feel? You can enjoy your senior year some.
Um, Obviously very relieving. I'm really excited. Both me and Kendall Berger committed around the same time. I committed a little earlier than her, but we announced it at the same time. And coach texted us and was like, that's like iconic. Like, I'll never forget that. And everyone's like, the dynamic duo strikes again. It's like, yeah.
No, I love that. I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I'm going to ask about that in a little bit. But before we get there, what was it about Clarion? I mean, what drew you to the school and what will you be majoring in there?
Well, I'm majoring in education, and that was what sold me. I know a few people that go to Clarion currently and major in education, and that's what sold me. And also Coach Fleming, like both Coach Fleming and Coach D were like amazing. They were so like personable and like just right off the bat, I was like, yeah, I would not mind playing for them. Like I can see myself playing for them.
Do you know what you want to teach yet?
Primary education.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I know
Yeah.
that teaching's always a very a hot commodity, if you will, a very good career to pick. But what were
Yeah.
some other schools? I saw there was a lot of other schools that were after you, that were offering you and whatnot. What were those schools, and what schools were you kind of looking at and were on your radar?
IUP for sure. The big difference was the coach. Like I just felt comfortable, maybe because she was female, I don't know. But I felt really comfortable with Coach Fleming, and that was like the big difference. But yeah.
Coming into the process, how important was that aspect of having that comfortability with a coach, or was that something that you learned or kind of maybe developed as you started to see a bunch of different schools?
Definitely developed. And honestly, like I didn't realize how important that was until I went to Clarion. Like I was like, okay, yeah, like your coach, like you'll just gain that with, but like with Coach Fleming, like it was just there.
Yeah, it's definitely important. And I feel like a broken record, but I say this all the time. You got to find where you're going to feel like at home for the next four
Yeah.
years, because that's where your home's going to be. So good on you for finding somebody that you can, join up with, and obviously a great program as well. But now this leads me to asking about you and your dear friend, Kendall Berger. Um, how was this put together? Whose idea was it? Did you both kind of decide? I mean, just talk to me about the uh making and the formulating, if you will, this plotting of the plan of you guys going to Clarion together.
Well, it happened about like a year ago. We were like, we should try to go to college together. And I was like, yeah, but like the chances that we end up playing at the same school are like so slim. Like I was like, yeah, let's do it. And like in the back of my mind, it's like that's never gonna happen. And then, well, both got an offer from Wheeling, and then I was like, wow, like maybe like we'll be able to play together. And then she got an offer from Clarion, and she went on a visit and was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going there. And then a few weeks later, they reached out to me and offered me, and I was like, not only because Kendall's going there, just because like the environment and like the coaches, the people there, like that just like set it. And like the fact that I get to go with my best friend is like just amazing.
How much do you think that's going to help you guys adjust to playing at college together, knowing that, hey, we spent many years together sharing the hardwood and there's nothing real different. It's just now we're playing in college.
Yeah. I think it's definitely gonna help like with comfort levels. Like obviously we're gonna be like discomfortable in some situations, but I think just having her by my side, like I'll be like, oh, she can do it, I can do it, and vice versa. If I can do it, she can do it.
Yeah, it's great that you get to go to college with someone that you already know. That's, I'm sure you also kind of feel a little bit more at ease saying, hey, I've already got a built-in friend there.
Yeah.
But when you go to college, I mean, what part of your game do you feel is going to translate the best?
Definitely how fast I can shoot the ball. My dad says like that's one of the like better things that I can or like I could give to the next level. How fast my release is because a lot of girls struggle to get their shots off in time. And I feel like at the collegiate level, that's just something that you have to have. and then defense and like my speed.
You sounds like your dad speaks of experience. Sounds like he might know a thing or
Yeah,
two
just a
about
little bit.
basketball.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. We'll get into your dad momentarily, but I want to talk about last year because it was a banner year for you guys, winning the WPIAL championship. Talk a little bit about, obviously the season, but also how much did it mean to your team to get that big win in the championship, especially with how close you guys had been in previous years to getting that point?
Um, it being against NA was just the cherry on top of the sundae. Like it was just amazing. It was a great experience. And the fact that NA was what ended our WPIAL run the year prior, that it was just a revenge thing, honestly, for us. And being with Lauren Palangio, like that 1 year, and Bailey Snowberger, like they're like two of my closest friends. So just seeing them finally get a ring that they have been working so hard for, and everyone on the team, not just them two, but like they really put in the work.
Yeah, and I think also just with, like you said, how close you guys were getting and you guys were knocking at the door. What was that mentality for you guys going into that playoff run last year? I mean, did you at all feel like it was maybe a different mindset that the team had from previous playoff runs?
Yes, I think we all wanted it more. Years prior, we had people who like just did it for like fun, and like that's fine, but like everyone that was there was willing to put 110% in, and that got us where we went.
Well, I know that a big part of that run as well is Pops, your dad, Coach Brian Brozeski. Talk a little bit about just what that is like to be coached by your dad, and then also, I always ask people that are coached by their parents this: how do you guys keep basketball at basketball? Do you guys ever bring it home with you?
Um, yeah, we do. I like asking him questions on film. Like he's obviously a teacher at my high school too, so sometimes if I don't have sports or something, or like towards the end of the year, I always watch film. Like I'll be in his room, I'll be watching it, and I'll be like, "Is this like what we should have done?" And like we just talk about that stuff. But I people hate on me for this, but I like being coached by him. He's a little harder on me and Kendall because she's my best friend, but he's always giving us that extra shove. And I honestly think that's what made me the player I am today. If I had a different coach that didn't care as much and like didn't give us that tough love, I don't know if I would have been where I am.
Yeah, and I think also, like you said, you kind of get that extra, maybe a little push, if you will, from, your parent as opposed to a coach that doesn't really have that kind of, added incentive, if you will. But I know that heading into this year, you mentioned Lauren Palangio and Bailey Snowberger both graduating. So some pretty big voids to fill there. But how do you expect this team to kind of gel together? And then how do you and Kendall and some of the other upperclassmen plan to take over the reins a little bit and be those go-to players this season?
Just using what we have, not trying to be a small point guard like Bailey or like a really tall big like Lauren. Just knowing our rules and filling those in. Like I'm not gonna go try to post up some 6'5" girl. Sorry, my dog's like growling. Um, we're all just gonna play our rules and do what we know what we can do and use that against them.
What's the schedule like for you guys right now with basketball? I know that you're playing volleyball right now, but how often are you getting in the gym and just what are some workouts that you guys are doing?
Right now we have like 4 optional days, but you have to go to like 2. This week I was unable to go to any because of work and volleyball, but next week for sure I'm gonna try. And it's just like a short lift and like some shooting, like shooting around drills.
Well, especially with your quick release, I think that's great that you get those extra shots up and whatnot and
Yeah.
workouts and you can kind of keep that quick trigger, if you will. But Avery, it's been wonderful to have you. Before we let you run, I just want to hear from you. With obviously the bar being set pretty high from last year and previous years, how do you feel this group this year can build on that and exceed that expectation even further?
Um, I think our chemistry was great last year. I think we are still continuing to build that. Like I know my grade and the underclassmen, and now I have a sister coming up. Like we all are pretty close. We all hung out over the summer, like including the freshmen. Like we're not leaving them out or anything, and that's a big thing because that builds trust. And having trust on the court is the number one thing. If I don't trust the person next to me, we're never going to succeed.
Well, it's a great point that you bring up. And obviously, your group trusted each other last year. I'm sure you guys will trust each other again this year. Thanks so much for stopping by, Averi. And again, congratulations on the commitment.
Thank you so much.
That's Clarion women's basketball commit Averi Brozeski. As always, thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Recruiting Thursday, brought to you by our friends at Sendell Volkswagen in Greensburg. We would love to meet you. Make sure you check out our other Recruiting Thursday features that are available on our YouTube channel. And as always, this is Jack Ridenour signing off, never saying goodbye, just see you later, right here and only on the Westmoreland Sports Network.